Good afternoon. Next episode is Callum Singleton versus Chris Day. And mentioning players who are lucky enough to have their own table at home. Chris Day is one of those. I've seen him play extensively through lockdown. Bit of a messy table. Certainly in the World Rules format. Wouldn't be quite such a mess in black ball if you could play a skill shot, because you would probably open your account with the yellow into the bottom left and screw across and clear this pocket on the right hand side, leaving the table open. But a bit of a different scenario in World Rules. That option's not available, of course. Looks to still want to go yellows. They are definitely the dominant ball. Under hit does have other options available, but would have dearly liked to clear the top of the table. At some point needs to think about what he's going to do with this stray ball on the right hand side of the table. It's the only yellow across on that side of the table. Straight away just basically taking his medicine and saying, do you know what, I don't think you can clear reds here, so I'm going to move my yellow out into the open and let you have a go. Which is brave. Given that Chris is a very capable player, but it is a pretty horrible leave. And it's times like this where it's very easy to put yourself into trouble. You end up potting one or two, three balls and then breaking down, and all of a sudden some of your chess pieces are off the table. And it's very much at times like this when the clearance just isn't there, then you don't want to be potting anything. You want all your pawns in play, as it were, and trying to establish some control over the game, which is what he tried to do with that red, pushing it up over towards the top left pocket. He got it wrong, and all it's really done is leave him in a little bit more bother than he was a minute ago. if a frame was ever going to lend itself to turning into a tactical frame, it was this one. Right from the off, it was horrible, with balls tied up and balls covering pockets. Now with 2 shots, this should be framed to Callum. Wow. Oh, I've got a second shot. I was just thinking for a second, why is he hit that dead weight? He's left a hangover. A hanger. I mean, it's literally for me been 2.5, maybe 3 years since I've commentated on World Rules. So it's it's a bit of a strange one, trying to remember that the shot carries, the second shot carries. So when I see people leave a hanger, I'm like, what's he done? We'll get back in the hang of it as the weekend goes on. You can see all the other games just starting off. Some people just opening their accounts. Some people playing their second game. JJ Falls in his first game against Dan Eaton Lee's Jealous Sing game has been going on for a while. He's currently 6-4 down. Jello, one of the Midland stalwarts, always around, loves his pool. Seems to have been playing forever. I think my lasting memory of Chris Day was, I think it was the £500 a man elite tournament at Savannah when he knocked out the favourite Mick Hill. He's got the game on his day to beat anybody, absolutely anybody. And as I say, he's spent a lot of time on the table over the last 12 months. But he's got come up against a formidable player in his opening round draw in Callum Singleton, a young man that really is starting to make strides in the game. He did so during the Supreme Series as he kind of grew into that series, and he became a name that we all started talking about. And here we are in a couple of years on, and he's playing in amongst a glittering field of players, and he finds himself as the joint fourth favourite with the bookmaker, just a point behind Declan Brennan, a couple points behind Tom Cousins. He finds himself as a favourite ahead of players like Lee Kendall and Gareth Hibbert, Clint Ianson and John McAllister, and that shows a lot about this young man's game. He really is an impressive young player, but it's Chris Day who he's up against today, and Chris will have other plans. And he's gone about this clearance well. Just making sure, taking time. Little stun shot. Stun off the cushion to leave a simple black to tie things up at one frame apiece. Chris sporting the Nick Finn style of haircut. Gone to the barbers and said, "Can I have a Finny, please?" Shiny all over. And it's Chris that breaks off frame number 3. And as can happen, if you just time that cut break wrong, you lose the cue ball off the table. And that, in world rules, is a bit of a disaster. That was the wrong replay there, Paul. Come on, put it together. It's not been that long a weekend yet. Yeah, just pop the cue ball off the table, off the side of the pack. And as I say, in world rules, that's a bit of a disaster because that's a 2-shot foul. In the pocket is just 1-shot foul. And the off the table is 2. So gives Callum a fantastic chance. Still carrying 2 shots, so he's got the freedom to play this one. wasn't even sure if he could get through to the one over the middle, but that makes it even easier. I thought he was going to just drop it to the top. I think this one landed a bit betwixt. Yeah, so using that extra shot just to set up, and now it's that as plain sailing as can be. Two frames to one now in favour of Callum Singleton, and that all from a little ball hopping off the table. Just a mistimed break. And that's the problem if you impart any kind of topspin, even centre ball on that cut break, then the cue ball is going to lift off the table. You have to dig right down into the cue ball and screw it to make sure it stays on the table. If you mistime it in any way, then you're in danger. Callum having none of it. He's pretty much dead centre, I would say. Maybe a shade to left of centre, if anything. And just smacking it down the middle and opening them up. Which, if I'm honest, I prefer. I'm as effective as the cut break can be. It can also cause a lot of issues in terms of clusters. I mean, look at this for a leave. Everything's open. Okay, you've got that couple of balls. You can't odds that. You're always going to get it, but everything else is out in the open, and it allows you the best opportunity to tackle that problem. But even the little cluster at the top, nothing's really in the way of yellows. And even if you go reds, the red goes to either top corner pocket. So in fact, you could play the red to middle and stun at the table for that one as his second ball if he wished. He's gonna take yellows. As I say, you could really make a case for either. Yellows probably the obvious choice, just given that it's a slightly more natural path around the table. Just finished slightly the wrong angle, so he's had to just stun across into that yellow, and as you can see from the overhead, he's got an angle. It's just really about these last two yellows, making sure he leaves the right angle. And you can see him now where he wants to leave the cue ball. He needs to leave the right angle to be able to get across to the right hand side of the table to pop that yellow in the opposite centre. Well, the right hand side of the table as we look at it. That looks fine. Looks fairly natural. You might put a tiny trace of side on it just to make sure the cue ball tracks around behind the black. Just hesitated on that shot just for a second. It was just towards the top lip, but played it at a pace that he was never going to miss it. And just swiftly moves out to a 3-1 lead. And that mistake from the break on Chris Day's last break was now cost him 2 frames. He lost that frame, and then Callum's gone and broke this next, so getting punished to the max. Just across there, as you saw somebody breaking off a second ago, was JJ Fall, the South African international player who recently represented South Africa in the World Cup of 9-ball. There he is. That's JJ. He hails from, well, originally from South Africa, but now he lives around the Manchester area. He owns the Savannah Pool Club in Whitehall, just outside of Manchester. Is it Whitehall? Whitefield. Might be Whitefield, actually, is it? Anyway, it's Savannah's nightclub. I think it's Whitefield, just outside of Manchester. Very nice club he's got there. One of the better ones in terms of competition, because he's got a ridiculous amount of tables in there, probably in excess of 20 odd tables. It's probably one of the only clubs in the country that can host an event of this kind of magnitude. It's pretty huge. JJ's decided to trek up the road today and join us for the tour event. It's good to see him on board. Chris Day, stoic. You won't get a read off of that face. It's a face only a mother could love, isn't it? Sorry, Chris. Just can't resist it, mate. Thankfully, he'll know it's only banter and he won't come after me. Chris likes a bit of fun. So that other game, the JJ4 game I mentioned, is just going on over on table 2. If you want to know what the score is there, and if you want to keep up to date with what's happened so far and what's still to come, and what's ongoing at the moment, then it's all on qscore.com. If you click on the live tab, you'll find the World Rules Pool Tour Event 1, the full lineup, everyone who's in the event and all the detail behind it. You can see that's a wider angle of this arena and all of the sponsors around the arena. All Stars Sports Bar down in, well, I say down in, it's down in the Somerset, Dorset area. There's one in Bristol, one in Exeter, one in Taunton, one in Weston-super-Mare. They're great clubs. Racks of Maidenhead, Dishes, all in Snooker Club. And also, I've seen legends over there on the right-hand side. I've also seen Jason Owens, one of the sponsors. So it was great to have Jason on board, a quality cue maker. Also, Milton Keynes Sports Bar and Lounge, one of the sponsors. Spencer's and the Court, of course, MK Sports Bar and Lounge. I was there a couple of weeks ago. I went up to watch the final of the 9-ball at the Marshall Arena, of the 9-ball of the World Championships, which was hosted by Matchroom. What an arena that is, the Marshall. Very impressive. And we had a drop into MK Sports Bar and Lounge, which is owned by, amongst others, Emma Cunningham. I've just seen Emma here, actually. She's up playing in the ladies' event. We've got a lovely little club down there in Milton Keynes with probably about 8 tables in there, I think. It's a very well done place. My first visit there, and I'm sure it won't be my last. Meantime, Chris has been afforded a chance, and a decent chance at that. And this is a big one, really, isn't it? If he clears this one and he gets back to three frames to 2. If he doesn't, at 4-1, it looks a bit of a forlorn hope. So it's a huge frame. Played that well, didn't he? He's controlled it well. Nice pace, just to bring that yellow off the route. Possibly could have done with half a roll less, just to make it ideal and give him 3 drop-ins. A little bit more work to do with the cue ball off the next shot. After this, he's gonna just have to come around off 3 cushions, but it's fairly natural. Probably just a touch of running side. I mean, he doesn't even need to do that if he doesn't want to. He could just drop it in dead weight and take his medicine and take the black to top right, but I think it's fairly natural just to come around off 3. 1, 2, 3 cushions and leave himself a straight black. He's got a nice cue action. Actually, it's a nice pause at the back of the swing, of the backswing, which is obviously such a key to have. That pause is what gives you your accuracy, your power, your timing. It really is very important. Some people pause at the front of the swing, some people pause at the back of the swing, and others pause at both front and back. I don't think there's any particular right way. I think a pause at the backswing is probably always going to be optimal. You'll see most of the players have that built into their game. One or two, it's probably more pronounced than others. Someone who I really look up to in terms of their cue action is, oddly enough, the guy who played first up is Shane Thompson. I think he's got one of the best cue actions in the game. An absolute Rolls Royce. It's a lovely. I mean, people look at Chris Melling as being synonymous with having a fabulous long cue action. That lovely long pullback, which gives him so much, makes it look so good as well. It just gives him so much cue power. But I think Shane's up there as well. In fact, sometimes I think Chris's is maybe even a little bit too long. I mean, that's verging on super critical, but I think Shane's is right up there. Always interesting comparing different people's cue actions. Maybe not quite so pronounced on Callum's, but at the same time he's not really had anything tricky through this clearance, so it's just been a case of putting the cue back. There is just a very brief pause at the back of the swing, as you'll notice. Wow. I'm genuinely not. I'm shocked. I don't really know. And he stood up off the shot. It was almost as if he was trying to nick a little bit of the pocket because he didn't want to get too close to the cushion. Is that what it was? That he was just trying to make sure that he could cue to the back of the cue ball. Well, whatever it is, it's costing the shot, and may indeed cost him the frame. I mean, Chris is just gonna lay a snooker here, isn't he? Just drop his ball off the cushion. The priority there was to get his yellow off the rail, but equally to make sure he laid a snooker. I think he's left an edge of this. I think Callum's a little bit shocked still over that missed ball to the middle, and as I say, I think literally he was just trying to nick a little bit of the pocket. Christy Colefield beat Jamie Graham 7-5. Neil Davey 7-2 over Jack Halliwell. Ben Anderson beat Alex Lawrence 7-2. Mark Williams beat Mac Champ in a decider. It was some way out. Sam Bircher currently the fingers 6-5 up over Jonathan Coleman. Gary Southern's through against Scott Crawley. Just on the table across from this one, just to the right hand side, JJ Fall is tied up at 2 each with Dan Eaton-Lease. Well, the game between Nathan Ellis and James Brookins is already over. It only started half an hour ago, and Nathan Ellis has won that 7-0. So Nathan's on the charge at the moment. He came in this weekend meaning business. Already beaten Tom Price, and now beaten James Brookins 7-0. Ben Flack is in action now against Sam Story. He's 4-0 up. Jamie Fay, who used to play on the UK tour and then pulled off of it, is back in action in the World Rules Tour. And he is currently 4-1 up against Andy Williams. I'm assuming that's not the singer Andy Williams. That would be unusual. And possibly too good to be true. Probably went over the heads of most people there. It was just an Andy Williams song. Anyway, digressing. Nice. Nice. 3 frames each. Sean Chipperfield back in action. Look, the world champion, the ex-world champion. What year was he world champion? 2016, Paul thinks. I'm going to go 2015. We'll have a look in a minute. Anyway, he's 3-1 up against Joe Morm. Oh dear. Most definitely not what the doctor ordered, having just come back to 3 frames each to go straight in off. Oh, we're both out, mate. We're both out. Yeah. Norwich postman Sean Chipperfield beats former world pool champion 2012. Yeah. And who did he beat in the final? Darren Appleton. Hey? Oh no, sorry. Well, when was that then? That must have been It was Carl Sutton. Yeah, you know, you must have been. It must have been later. It was just a highlight when he. No, it's because that was when he beat former world champion Darren Appleton. You see. Yeah. It was just a headline. He fooled us both. There's someone probably on the chat just shouting out the answer. I normally pride myself on knowing this sort of stuff, but it's been so long since I did any kind of commentary. I've forgotten everything. Was it 2016? Paul New. Paul New. Just overhit that one slightly. Cue ball's going to be moving now. And this is one of those clearances that really needed it just to be on point. And from somewhere where you fancy him to make the clearance, it's just suddenly a little bit awkward. So having gone in off on the break and handed all the impetus over to Callum, now Chris can get himself established in this frame. There, Reds are still definitely the ball at the moment, but a couple of decent shots, and he could find himself definitely in this frame. Just needs to do something with this bottom left pocket. Didn't know if there was enough room for this yellow to double past the red, but it looks like he's left the double, so it must go. And if it does, then he can get the other yellow out at the same time. This one's the key to the frame. Oh, he needed like a half ball contact on that yellow, would have just pushed it down to the bottom rail. But I just wonder if he could play the yellow into the bottom right and screw straight back into it. He could play it as a double back onto the other yellow on the right hand side. I think that's the shot he's playing. He's going to double it back. Shot. Shot. Now he's just got this tricky black to contend with. He really has. There's another one of those frames that's literally just been pulled out from nowhere. He wants us to move. I was going to say didn't want to be hampered. If he was hampered, that was going to be a disaster. Because he needs, well, somewhere close to where he is now. Not as close. Just a few inches below where he is now. I think he'd take that. He's got a nice angle to screw back across the table. Probably a touch right hand side. He's done well to give himself a chance. He's overhit. Well, maybe I'm doing him a disservice. I thought he was trying to leave it in top left, but it, of course, makes much more sense to play it in the way he did and leave it at top right. Lovely. What a delightful clearance. I mean, fantastic that was. From nowhere. From absolutely nowhere. And that's up there with the Tom Cousins clearance from earlier. That was a ridiculous clearance, but that one is right up there with it. Very nice. Oh, look, the pigeon's playing. Chris Patient is 5-2 up against Carl Egger on table 6. That's the pigeon, for those who don't know. He's Pigeon Promotions. He's very, very much into the pool scene. He does all of the commentary for the GB9 tour and all of their streaming. He absolutely loves his pool. Absolutely loves it. Zach Shepherd, who's playing Rich Gifford. Both from the same area, actually. Rich Gifford, Gloucesterman. Zach Shepherd from over there. Well, he used to be over kind of Hereford way. But now I believe residing in Stoke-on-Trent. Living with his young lady. Who would have ever thought that Zach Shepherd would get a girlfriend? Oh, sorry, Zach. I just keep lining him off and batting him away, you know. Just can't help myself, mate. Who's that with the England shirt on? Is that... No, it's not. I thought it was someone else for a second. It's, oh, it's... Jamie McDonald. Well, on that table is Jamie McDonald playing Josh Goodwin. So I've got a 50-50 chance of being right. In the foreground, JJ now 5-3 up against Dan Eaton-Elise. Down there on table 5 at the bottom, you can see Sam Story at the table, and just coming to the table is the very recognisable figure of Ben Flack. You're not missing anything over on the main arena table. One of the players has just stepped away for a bathroom break, so just a couple minutes respite there where we just look across the other tables. And there on table 4, look, there's the governor. That's the gaffer himself, Neil Toms, the organiser of the event. Can't say enough about the guy, to be honest. He's put hours and hours, blood, sweat and tears into this event. One of the best organisers you'll find. He's currently trailing 4 frames to 3 to Steve Ritchie. And I mentioned Ben Flack on the other table. He's, oh wow. Oof. Well, you could see already the look of disgust on Callum's face as that cue ball was just about to drop into the top right. And a little red ball just whizzed past the face of it and knocked it out of the way. That was very fortunate. Gee whiz. There you go. I just opened the chat from 10 minutes ago. Paul Chippy, 2016 world champion. David Wilmot new. Thomas asking if we do any 9-ball streaming. No, it's something we've never. Yeah, we definitely would. I personally love my 9-ball. Absolutely love it. I go Moscone Cup and went to the World Championships this year, and anytime I get the chance, I'll watch 9-ball. Absolutely love to, but sadly, we've never been invited. Fabulous. Love a bit of 9-ball. Love to do commentary on it. Great game. Any of them really. I like the American disciplines. 1 pocket, 10-ball, even 8-ball. Any of them. All good. Wouldn't want to commentate on 1 pocket or bank shots or something like that. They're properly technical games. I think you have to be able to commentate on those kind of games. You have to be have been invested in them for years to know exactly what you're looking at and what the right shot is to play, the right kind of tactics to use at the right time. That's a delightful shot. Trusting a tiny bit to luck when he went into that pack, but connected them exactly as he wanted to. Taking a long time thinking about this one. It's just in between everything. He can pot the yellow to top right, but he doesn't have any kind of angle. That's why he was looking at it and trying to think about jacking up to try and screw back into the red. It's just to the left of the cue ball. I think the one towards bottom right, I don't think he's quite got the potting angle. He might just need to swerve it slightly, so it's a little bit in between everything. Thomas has got the answer. He said, just organise our own events. And we can stream them all, can't we? Just organise our own 9-ball events. That's or 10-ball. That's the answer. Yeah, it took a long time over that shot, and I mean, it was tricky, no question. It was tricky, and after planning it out for so long, he almost rushed it. Sounds stupid, but he almost rushed it when he got down on the shot. Giving another chance to Chris. I guess you could say Callum maybe a tiny bit fortunate over what he's left Chris. He's got this one red to bottom left, but he's hampered. He's a tall lad, Chris, so he can get over the top of this, but even so, it's still not the nicest of shots to play, and he'd dearly love to move the other red at the same time, so he'll be looking to, yeah, just made sure he got the pot, but he's overhit it. I mean, the thing was about that, if Callum had just hit it like an inch or so less, then Chris would have had a simple pot and been able to develop his difficult ball. But just leaving that hamper queuing meant Chris was very restricted. That's can often happen with those shots. The cue ball catches up with the red and it just hit it a second time and just took it offline. That was never going to be easy for Chris, but he just maybe let Callum off the hook a little bit. It was a chance. That was the thing. It was a chance. It was a really tough chance, but sometimes, I mean, he had a tough chance in the last one and took it. Sometimes it's the difference between winning and losing is taking those really tough chances. And now it's 4 frames apiece where, you know, if he could have somehow found it, you know, that 5-3 lead would have been huge for him. But, now it's Callum who wins the frame, and it's very much back on serve. Very controlled break. Wow. Really did take a lot off of that one. I mean, I guess he's not had a lot of joy with the cut break so far. He took a lot off of that one. He's at the travel. Oof. Was in danger of not hitting the cushion there. Both players just vying for position at the moment. A very awkward layout. So, just trying to establish themselves with the advantage in the frame. Callum, you see, pushing one of those reds over towards the side rail. Chris then manoeuvring one of his balls towards the pocket. Thomas starting a discussion about UK pool and the elephant that is in the room and has been for a while about the cue ball being marginally smaller than the rest of the balls. That was a mistake. Tried to cover the bag, which of course it is. It was designed that way to allow the cue ball to come through the trap on the money tables, to allow the cue ball to come back through the ball return while the other balls stay, and it's kind of stuck, isn't it? Even though the majority of pool now is played on tables without that mechanism, the smaller cue ball's stuck. But I mean, some people say that the game will never be taken seriously until the ball's the same size. I don't really get it, to be honest. It kind of is what it is, and I like the manoeuvrability of the cue ball. I like the fact that you can really make it zip. I don't know. I don't know if it's a problem that needs fixing. Some people would argue it is. Me personally, I'm not so sure. I mean, I get it. It's I think in American pool, isn't the cue ball just slightly bigger than the object balls? It's like comparing the two sports and saying, well, with 9 ball you do this and 8 ball you do this. Well, in 9 ball it's a lot harder to screw the cue ball the length of the table, but most of the time you're not playing screw shots, you're playing follow shots. So most of the shots you play in those American disciplines involve topspin. And it's a whole different ball game because you're never trying to stay straight, of course. You're always trying to leave an angle on the ball so you can maneuver the cue ball around. And it's just different. I don't think there's anything wrong with being different. It doesn't need to be the same. Of course, in snooker, the cue ball is going to be the same size as the object balls, but does it need to be in pool? Yeah, and echoing the comment I made about people saying that UK pool will never be taken seriously until the cue ball's bigger. But I just don't get that argument personally. Taken seriously by who? Who needs to take it seriously? I mean, it's it doesn't need to be the same. It's like saying rugby will never be taken seriously because the ball's not round. The ball needs to be round like it is in football, but it doesn't, clearly, because they're different games. Good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon, Radiology. We've one of our long-term viewers enjoys his pool. I hope you're enjoying this. The World Rules 8-ball tour from Blackpool, the Grand Hotel. It's some venue. I'll give them their due. I mean, a lot of these hotels up here, they're just starting to become a little bit tired. I mean, they probably had their pomp and glory in the 70s and 80s, but this one, especially like the function rooms, they're quite impressive. They really are. This is the couple of rooms that we've got for the hotels are just big, vast conference rooms, and you just look up at the ceiling and it's just impressive. The lights are just impressive. They're just fantastic. I always look at the things around me when I come into these rooms, and it's just great. Some proper history in these places. The Grand Hotel up in the up above the kind of North Pier, where you kind of have the next hotel to us, but one is the Imperial Hotel, where which is synonymous with pool events. And then you've got this one, the Grand Hotel, and then above us again you kind of got Norbreck Castle, which is the home of the Golden 8-ball and Bapto, and that's another impressive venue. Again, the hotel rooms, put that to one side. The venues themselves are just fantastic. It's one of the best arenas I've been in there. It's great. I mean, give Blackpool its due. It is set up for this kind of thing. Yeah, Perpetual Motion mentioned Norbreck. It really is. It's a great venue. I couldn't believe it when I first walked in there. And the thing I love about that event, the Golden 8-ball, was it's just a party atmosphere. You walk in there, the music's blaring. They've got the old dry ice on, so there's smoke around. They've got the disco lights going, and it's just really a great atmosphere. The music was just ringing out. I mean, normally we're just, we like these kind of events, it's almost like a snooker atmosphere. It's quiet and everyone's whispering at each other. But up there, the music's blaring. I mean, if you've never been to one of those events, get yourself along, because they are great fun. That's a clever shot. Very nice. He's putting out some inventive shots. That ball didn't go direct. He just brushed the back of the yellow to find the pocket. I think again he played it as a bit of a sort of shot to nothing, hoping that he would cover the bag. That if he didn't get the pot, but now he got the pot, is going to win in the frame. This one's been backwards and forwards. Both players would have fancied their chances at one point. It's going to be Chris Day. Not the best positional shot, but he'll be fine. He's going to be a little bit closer to the side rail than maybe ideal. Oh, well, there you go. You can just do it that way. Always a little bit dangerous when you're moving balls. You don't necessarily need to. Of course, you saw that yellow come across the face of the black. It could have got in the way. He could have done something wrong, but it didn't. He's absolutely fine. He played it well, and just playing it off the yellow to make sure, or try and leave the black that little bit easier. Otherwise, he was going to be playing it from the side rail. And then the other matches we mentioned across on table 3, which is pretty. I've got a wall in front of me, so I can't actually see it. But the table 3, is literally just in front of me, behind the wall, and it's currently 5 each on that table. Neil Toms, who was 5-4 down on the very next table to that one, is now 6-5 up, and he's on the hill against Steve Ritchie. Andy Williams against Jamie Fay. Jamie Fay was 5. Well, he was definitely 4-1 up. He may have been 5-1 up. He's now trading 6 frames to 5. And things are going from bad to worse for Callum Singleton. And the bookmaker will be rubbing his hands together if this one goes the way of Chris, because I reckon he's taken a few quid on Callum. To see Callum into 8-1, I think he must have taken a couple quid. And thanks very much for that kind comment. Hopefully the sound is all good now. I know there was a couple of issues with it earlier, as mentioned on stream, but hopefully it's all coming through loud and clear now. I know there was a couple of issues during the first game, but let us know if there's still a problem, and we'll do what we can about it. But I think we're okay. Glad you enjoy the stream. We do our best, and you can see again the amount of hard work and effort that goes in from this beer productions team every weekend. I cannot even describe to you. I mean, it's been 18 months since the last event, and I think all Paul's done during that 18 months is just basically buy new gear, because he's added new gadgets on. He's shaking his head saying no, but he's definitely bought some new gadgets. He's got some new toys. And I can't even describe to you the amount of cabling and wires that are around me. It's very impressive, to say the least. And the stream is only reflective of their professionalism. Sadly, nothing to do with me. I just turn up and talk nonsense after these guys have already done all the hard work. And they've got a new addition to the team now. And Frank's joined the team. I'm sure that Paul will give us a camera angle from Frank in a minute, and Frank can give us a nod. There you go, there's Frank. There he is. I'd like to say that was on purpose, but that was just probably Frank's dodgy arm. It's a bit wobbly. Hello, Frank. He's doing a great job over there. So Chris Dane now, from being behind in this match, finds himself on the hill. 6 frames to 4. Hopefully, there's enough camera angles there. I think Dan mentioned. I mean, I don't know, how many cameras have we got this weekend, Paul? Is there like 7 or 8 or something? Paul's saying 3, but we know that's not true. It's always good to have the overhead shot as well. I think that's a great shot. Sometimes they end up almost like looking through a fisheye, like watching it through a fishbowl, those overhead cameras, but love that perspective. And then we've got the on high. We've got the jib. I think he was just trying to catch that a little bit thinner, just to bring the yellow out over the pocket. Try and take control. There's Frank in motion. Very smooth. Anyway, that's enough of me blowing smoke up Beard Productions. Back to the game. Big frame. I mean, it goes without saying. It's absolutely goes without saying. Again, both players just vying for position here. Callum putting that red in the path of the yellow, but I think if I'm Chris, I'm maybe doubling that back out while the black is still tied up, while the reds are still a bit of a problem. Chris again going to try and play that same shot he played a second ago. Just try and catch it a little bit thinner. He's just trying to bring that out. So he's done exactly the same thing again. And in fact, a worse result this time, because I think Callum can get through to this red to the middle. But Chris desperately just trying to hit that a little bit thinner, just trying to nudge that red out into the path of the pocket to make the clearance difficult. Now really, for Callum, the only tough ball on the table is, I mean, it's definitely not a gimme, but the tough ball now is the black. And possibly the red next to the one that he's just queuing at. That's what he does with that one. Ooh, what a mistake. That's a foul. Didn't hit a cushion. That's 2 shots. Wow. And you can see, absolutely mortified. I think he was desperately just trying to play it at a dead weight pace so he could then play the other red to the right corner. He's misjudged it by a good inch and a half. And now, yeah, I was going to say it's pretty much about that one shot. And I don't think he could have played that much better. He's left a lovely angle now that he can stun up table and get the ball on the bulk line. Obviously it doesn't go to top left, so he's just going to take out the other one first. And then again leave that same angle. In fact, he will probably just run across and play the one on the left side rail first, because it doesn't afford any position to get onto the black, so I think he needs to take that and then leave the one in bulk until his last ball. Has he played to get right above it and drop it into the... Yeah, don't know. Not sure about that. Only because, I mean, he can play the double. But he has to leave an angle. Oh yeah, he's got another shot. He's got another visit. cannot get used to the fact that two visits and one carries. Cannot get used to it. It's literally been about 3 years since you've commentated on any world rules whatsoever, and it catches me every time. That's not ideal. Dearly wanted to be straighter, too much angle. I mean, now it's just a tricky little shot to play this up into the top right, and a gentle screw shot through those two reds. How do you fancy this one? He's actually looking now to see maybe, because it's a horrible shot to try and hold it. Much easier shot if you can play through the cue ball. And I think he was looking at maybe some kind of double. Oh, what you would have given for another 4 or 5 inches there. Mind you, wouldn't we all? Ah, sorry. Delirious already. It's Friday afternoon. Nasty this. Yeah. I never fancied it. I just got the impression he didn't really fancy it either. It was horrible. Chris will be bitterly disappointed there. He's come to the table with 2 visits and really should be clearing. Yeah, Dan said it is weird seeing it. It's so strange. As I say, I'm trying to think back to the last World Rules event that I commentated on. It was probably in Birmingham. It was probably the UK tour in Birmingham about 3 or 4 years ago. And the bizarre thing is, I mean, as a rule, I come from Somerset, so you have no option but to play World Rules. Really, it's the only leagues around where I live. So, but of course, we've not been playing either. So, just trying to get the 2 shots back in my mind. Anyway, and I keep saying 2 shots as well, much to the annoyance of young Viv. Viv Rusko is watching on, and she's telling me off. Hey, she is. She's a teacher. Yeah, that's exactly right. You can tell Viv's a teacher. She's telling me off. It's 2 visits, not 2 shots, and I will try my best. It's terrible. It's been a long time, Viv. It's been a long layoff. We'll get there. Chris Hampson on the hill against Ladis Kuprick. Rich Wharton not faring too well there. Oliver Lawrence currently 6-3 up on him. Jamie Stokes and John Rowe at 3 apiece. John Rowe is obviously an ex-world champion. I often look at fields and try and work out how many world championships that we have between them all in the field, and I can never quite work it out. But I mean, there's a number here, isn't there? Phil had 2. In fact, that's Phil Harrison across there. You can see on table 4. Phil's had a couple. Tom Cousins a couple. John Rowe, Adam Davis, Gaz Hibbert, of course. John McAllister. There's a good few in the room, and there's a young man that's got the potential to be one of the future world champions for certain. He's still a young lad. I can't tell you exactly how old Callum is now. I want to say he's 23, 24. I don't think he's much older than that. Another young man who's we talked about Steve Petty losing some weight. There's another young man there who's shifted some pounds. For most of us, the lockdown has not been kind, but Josh Kane, look at him. He's dropped a couple of stone. Yeah, Paul said that sadly he's found it. Steve Petty just about to get underway, and John McAllister about to open his account. Harjeet Singh, the man from Bristol, playing Daniel Singh. They'll be having a sing-off. Oh dear. It's the stupidest thing to make you laugh. So another great chance for Chris Day to put this game to bed and knock out one of the favourites. Literally a dot-to-dot clearance. It's nothing difficult. It's only about cue ball control. Now, this is all about leaving the cue ball high, but not too high. Well, too high wouldn't matter too much either, because he could come below the black for the middle, but he just wants to leave it just high off straight, I think. Yeah, that's okay. That looks a little straight, but I think it's just about perfect. You can just top this through. Yeah, he's perfect. Let's just top it and leave this very simple black. And this is a great win for Chris. Always going to be a danger. Always a danger in the field. And it's him that goes on into the next round. Callum Singleton bows out. It'll be the challenge for him now. Well, that was a good game, to and fro. Callum off like a whippet, and Chris managing to pull him back. I'm going to have a quick look now to see if we've decided. No, there's no game. There's no game put in yet for the 6 o'clock session. In fact, that game probably took a little bit longer than they anticipated, so looks like they're going to be a couple minutes late on that 6 o'clock session. There is a game that hasn't been put onto a table yet, which is Wayne Gardner against Mike King, so that may be the next game. We're going to go and find out. Well, actually, I'm just looking now. I reckon could be Declan Brennan up, you know. Declan Brennan is in this 6 o'clock session, and his game's not started yet, so could be Declan Brennan against Joe Nolte. I reckon they'll want to see Declan over here, so we'll see. We'll speak to you very soon.